I've always believed that comics is a legitimate art form, and it was so frustrating being in college. Like, there are certain artists that were allowed into the curriculum and certain artists that weren't. And I would always ask them, like, when I was back in school for painting and printmaking, like, we could look at Andy Warhol, we could look at Ansel Kiefer or David Saldi or somebody. But I was like, well, what about Jack Kirby? Like, can we look at Jack? Like, no, that's comic books. And then it's like, okay, well, then is it merely money? Like, do you just want to see some money? Here's Frank Frazetta, motherfucker. You happy now? But then it's like, that's not enough. There is something that's very special to comics that makes it a different art medium. The French call it the ninth, right? We already have dance, poetry, literature, music, right? Go on the line. And then eventually comics is something, it's a weird hybrid of storytelling and picture making. And I think it's its own medium. It's special. It really is.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to my Wednesday Comics. My name is Rocky Belisaris. Thank you for joining me today. Double stream. I streamed yesterday, but today is kind of the anchor for the week for me because it's Wednesday and that's when the new comic books come out. And we've got some great things to look at today, both books that I picked up today and also books that I got this weekend over the holiday weekend. The July 4th weekend that we celebrated here, I got to go to a store in the East Bay called Escapist Comics, and they had an amazing back issue sale there and got my hands on some great stuff. So I'm really excited to kind of flash back to the past of some comics that I grew up with and share with you guys here, and also amazing to find them in the store because some of these are really difficult to find anywhere. So that's one thing I like about this store, Escapist Comics, because they have a huge inventory of stuff that's just out of print now, and a lot of stuff that I like. So it's just a fun place to get lost. I spent a few hours there just like rummaging through their shelves and their boxes, and it was awesome. But anyway, today is a great day because it's New Comic Book Day, and also what was kind of awesome was I went to one store today, Comics Experience, and they open at 10 a.m. They are supposed to open at 10 a.m. And for whatever reason, when I ended up, I had to go there because I had all these appointments, and I was like, I got to get this out of the way in the morning. And I went there at 10 a.m. and the store wasn't open, but there was another guy standing outside kind of waiting to go inside, and I got there probably around 10:15, and I said, have you been waiting here since 10? He's like, yeah, aren't they supposed to open at 10? And so anyway, we got talking, and then another guy came and he's like, why aren't they open yet? So it ended up being there's four of us outside. You're like, why aren't these guys, what are they doing? Shouldn't they be working? Like, what's going on? We were all waiting for that 10 a.m. open time for this store because it's the only store that opens that early here in the city. All the other stores usually open around 11 or sometimes 12, even on Wednesdays. So yeah, we were all there. One guy was there. It was, the reason I bring it up is because the conversation we had was great. It was like we were all there for a unified purpose, very similar. We were trying to squeeze it into our schedule, and just excited for the new books to come out. And we were all there for different books. We weren't coming for the same books. And like one guy that I was talking to, I think his name was Jeff. He was there for like, I guess Supergirl. There's like a 3-issue Supergirl arc and he's like, I need to know what happens. And I was so happy to hear that, because just to hear somebody's excitement and anticipation about a story in a comic book, like to drive him to get there at 10 a.m. because he has to find out what happens, just really made my day. It was awesome. It's exactly the reason why I love going to the comic book store, why I love storytelling, and just seeing people engage with storytelling was amazing. And so because we weren't in the store, we couldn't get in the store, we were all just kind of sharing like, oh, well, what are you reading today? And one guy that was there, I think he said he's trying to like finish up his Fantastic Four collection. He's trying to get it complete his collection from like issue 1 to like 400, which is crazy. I'm like, what? So we were talking about that. He was talking about books that he read. I was sharing books that I was picking up. And then there was the Supergirl guy. And then another guy drove up, and he drove all the way from like South City, which is about 40 minutes away. And he was like, I just got to get here. I'm on my break. And where are they? Like, he was really frustrated. So it was amazing. It was amazing. And it was a conversation that wouldn't happen if that store was open on time. So as much as we were all pressed for time, I was really grateful just to have that conversation with people, just to remind me about the joy of comics and the weekly anticipation. And it was awesome. It was great. So, but yes, it did eventually open up, and I got some great stuff, things that I was hoping to get. And then so that was my morning, trying to get material and also kind of prep myself for what the stream was going to be. But let me say hey to the chat right now. All you guys anticipating my Wednesday comics, similar thing, kind of, sort of, and you guys having the chat. I didn't start my stream on time because I got caught up in like what you guys were saying in the chat and just some of the conversations going on there. But also, truth be told, I was watching another stream at the same time I was prepping for this one. Declan Shalvey, who is a pretty established artist, writer in comic books and mainstream comic books right now. He did a series called Old Dog, his own creator-owned series with Image called Old Dog. He did a Mystique miniseries that we've looked at before in My Wednesday Comics. And he also is one of the main writers on Thundercats right now. He does a bunch of covers. The way I was exposed to his work was through his work on Moon Knight, maybe how many years ago? Maybe 6 or 7 years ago. Anyway, he's great. He's an Irish artist. He's amazing. So he live streams sometimes. He's been live streaming recently a lot more frequently of him just doing commissions. And I pop into his chat and I get to talk with him and chat with him. And he's even said he's watched my show, the show that was about him. You guys can go back and watch, where I did a show that was predominantly about Declan Shalvey's work, because I even own some of his originals that he's done. But yeah, he said, oh yeah, I've watched your show. And he was just asking me about this channel, about this show, why I do. And so it was awesome. But I got caught up in that conversation while trying to prep, and caught up in the chat here with you guys. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh shoot, I'm late. Just like the store was late opening this morning. So apologies, but thank you guys for all being here. Mark's Music Obsession, first in chat. Mark's dealing with some super hot weather in Florida, apparently. He says he was waiting for a little cool down before going back outside. But instead, he decided to cool down with a little iced My Wednesday Comics. So awesome to see you here, Mark. Lindsay Rose is here. Newly sound-bited Lindsay Rose.
Roses are red. Violets are blue.
I forgot what that sound was, but it's so fun to hear that again. And welcome, Lindsay Rose. Great to see you here. Yes, Lindsay Rose also, she was one of the few that followed up on that last My Wednesday Comics about the comic The Future Is ... I was trying to figure out that password. Spoiler alert, the password is plasma, which I don't even know what that means, but it took me a while to figure out the code, figure out how to solve the mystery or whatever. It was kind of cool, actually. It was once I found out the web page to get on that had more clues, then they sent you could download 3 different images that were 3 different colors, and you had to overlay those images on top of each other to reveal the code word. It was kind of cool. It's really cool. It's all this like puzzle figuring out, solving thing. And actually, I think The Future Is, that was issue 1 was the one I reviewed last week. I think since then, issue 2 and 3 have come out, but I didn't see it today at the store, so I'll have to look. Next time I go back to the store, I'll have to look and see if I'm going to pick up those next issues. But I think I might, because it's been interesting enough and fun enough to solve these clues. And I kind of selfishly want to learn more about the community, this like cyber hacking, cybersecurity, capture the flag community. So yeah, I think I might pick that book up, but I didn't see it on the rack. They have more of a limited release as far as their distribution in stores. So I'll have to go to specific stores to find it. Let's see. Mark says it was 94 with 105. That is too hot, man. 89 with about 94. That's still too hot. Anything in the 80s, way too hot for me. But it's going to get better soon because it's 4:30 or now 5 and Mark's time. Mark's talking about getting the Gulf breeze. It sounds ideal, but maybe a little too hot for me. Mark said he was going to take out the boat tomorrow, but he doesn't like going out alone. He misses his little first mate. We miss her too. We miss Maggie. We miss your mom, Mark. So always feel it deep in my heart when you bring up your loved ones. They were such a part of just getting to know you when you joined this channel, and just me starting out on YouTube. They were always part of the conversation. So sad. We're always going to be sad for you, missing them. Yes, she was a Cavalier King Charles Lynn, a cutie patootie. Mark posted some pictures in the chat. They were amazing. Super cute. Super great. Mark says it his fault that I am late, partially. And Mark's post, her face, super cute. Rose says, man, I take drawings for granted. Yeah, so part of the reason, one of the trailers I played in front of, we could talk about that. One of the trailers I played in front of the stream, and I've played it before, is from the Cartoon Art Museum, and I actually met a guy in one of the comic book stores I went to today. I met a guy who, I guess he's on the board of Cartoon Art Museum, and Frank introduced me to him. He said, oh yeah, he's got a YouTube channel, and this guy works at the Cartoon Art Museum. Love it. I love these conversations and these connections. And so I decided to throw that trailer up there, but I was telling him when I filmed the trailer, the gallery was showing the art of Filipino comics, which is where you saw some of those like Conan pieces and some of the beautiful, beautiful ink work on those. The craft behind those, I know Mark said you should do a master study or whatever on one of those pages. There is no way, Mark, like those pages are on a totally different level of craft. And it's kind of sad because you rarely see that level of effort and just craftsmanship put into comic art these days. I don't know. It was a different time, different period, but those are pieces of art. They truly belong in a museum to admire on a wall, as opposed to like disposable comic art, because they're incredible and they were so amazing to see in person. Why does out of print give me slight anxiety? Maybe it's in the collector in you. I don't know. What does out of print give you anxiety? Because you feel like you got to hunt for it. That's part of the joy, though. That's part of the experience, the hunt in comics. I've discussed that a few times here on stream, but that's part of why I love comics, that collector aspect of it. I'm not as crazy of a collector as that guy who wanted Fantastic Four from issue 1 to 400. That's not me. I'm not a completist. There has to be an attachment to the comics, whether it's the story or the art or character or whatever, that makes me want to hunt. But when you guys will see in a moment, when some of the back issues I picked up, I was like, oh, wow. Like when I found these, they just brought me back to my childhood and the books that I read as a kid. And it was so rewarding to find them. I have a running list on my phone of I call it my comic search list, and basically just bullet points of random issues that I'm looking for. And so I always pull those out whenever I'm in a store that carries back issues. And so I did this weekend, and I was able to knock a couple of those out. So it was pretty rewarding. Mark says, where did my last comment go? It disappeared. I don't know. What did you say? Rocky's new comic club. Yeah. I should have started a stream right with those guys outside. That would have been awesome, actually, to have that conversation. I kind of wish I could create some sort of like man on the street interview thing in front of comic book stores or in comic book stores, because they're just fascinating conversations. And as you guys can imagine, comic book collectors, people that go to comic book stores on a weekly basis, the range of the size and shape and the mold. There is no mold that a comic book collector is made out of. They just range from anything that you can imagine. I mean, not anything you can imagine, but there's like just a wide range of who could be into comics, and I love that. There is some stereotypes that go with comic book collecting, but then there's also like just a wide range of people that you meet and personalities that you meet. Emo Trash is here listening. Emo, where you been? How are you doing? Hi, lurkers. Mark's Music Obsession says, I feel lurking presence. And then we get this. Comrade Sammy. MMO, all right, you caught me. I'm the lurking presence. You bumped into the invisibility cloak, Mark. You found her. How you doing, Comrade Sammy? How's your ankle? Lindsay Rose says, Emo, you have a nice voice on Cran Stream. Was Emo talking on Cran Stream? Well. I'm going to have to go back and find some of those, Emo Trash. Storm here cut the power for less than a second, so if I disappear, that's why. But I doubt I will. All right. Mark spotted. You got to throw baby powder into the air and see if it lands on a silhouette. That's how you find ninjas, I'm told. Can't stick around for the whole stream, but here for now. Nice, Comrade Sammy. All right, let's see. Plasma makes me go, what? I don't know, right? Makes less sense than what the correct answer should be, I guess. Yeah, I think I overthink these things. I'm like, oh, they mean this, and therefore the word's got to mean this and this. And then they're just like, nah, we're just going to throw a random 6-letter word in there, like plasma. Unless it has something to do with the story, which I don't know. Not what I've read so far, but maybe it does later. Timmy Mello's here. What is up, Timmy Mello?
And the Guardians are headed to October.
Timmy Mello, I hope you watched the highlights on MLB.com or something, because I'm pretty sure the San Francisco Giants made the highlights. There was an amazing walk-off homer last night by our catcher, who has been horrible at the plate. But he had an amazing moment yesterday, and my son and I were watching the game. I actually kind of fell asleep at part of the game, woke up in the 9th inning, and it just was bananas. So I hope you got to see that. Never say never, Rocky. Exactly, Linz. Rocky will be doing a watercolor work at some point, hopefully, Mark. You are too much, man. It doesn't quit with Mark's Music Obsession. Does not quit. Yeah, that's probably it. The collector, yes, the anxiety of things out of print. And we live in the day and age of, there's tons of places. eBay. There's another site I oftentimes look at called Mercari. There's now Whatnot. There's a bunch of different auction sites that you can find this stuff. So can you imagine being a collector before the internet was invented? That must have been tough. But now it's like, there's so many opportunities and so many ways of finding things. On a positive note, Mark says, I'm already done with work for the week as of 11 a.m. today. That is awesome. What a great week. Lindsay Rose says, watercolor is beautiful and made for patience. I love watercolor. I wouldn't say I'm very good at it, but I do love watercolor as a painting medium. I love opaque watercolor as well. There's an opaque watercolor called gouache that I love using. It lays down really nice if you get a good quality gouache. Really lays down nice and beautiful colors, and you can mix really beautiful colors in it. Rocky, super duper cool comic book club. That's right. That's all we do here. Emo Trash was out doing some crisis management. Oh no. Okay. Well, I hope the crisis was managed, Emo. Hope everything is okay. It's as well as I can be. As well as it can be, Emo says. Cat's fine. So it's not having to do with cat or birds, I'm hoping. Still my typical precious boy. The kid who replaced Joey Bart. Yes. Patrick Bailey is his name, Timmy Mello. He's a great defender, great catcher. Like, he had like the pickoff record, I think, last season or something like that. Really good defender. But he has been sucking on offense lately, like really bad, to the point of every time he's up on plate, my son was like, double play ball, here it comes. And he actually said that last night. And then he just totally scorched a ball, and it looked like it was going out, which it's very difficult to hit home runs in San Francisco Park. And it hit the top of the wall, and it couldn't have bounced worse for the outfielders on the Phillies. And we were behind by, it would have been 2 runs to tie, 3 runs to win. And there was 2 guys on base already. And then they just booked it, and he was just running as fast as he could. And he was standing up when he hit home plate. It was amazing. It was really amazing. And the crowd was going crazy. It was so good. Let's see. I wouldn't have wanted to collect things back in the day. I mean, there were hardcore collectors back then. I don't know how they did it, but it's definitely a new era for collecting. It's like the world's open, like the whole world, to find things. I even have bought things, many times have bought things from overseas stores that you can't find here anymore. And just the fact that we can find that information pretty fast is amazing. Comrade Sammy says the ankle is fine, still hurts, but I've been doing some exercises to help aid in the healing. Seems to be helping. It's amazing what actually taking care of yourself will do. Yeah, just lay off the ankle, do the exercises. Don't re-injure it for sure. Patrick Bailey was never a good bat when he was drafted. Yeah, he wasn't. He had a streak a little bit. I can't remember if it was his rookie year or the year after. He had a streak, kind of clutch streak, but yeah, he's been horrible this season. I feel really bad for the guy. Gouache is cool, and I don't know how to spell it. It's Gouache, I believe. That would be a good password, gouache, because even if people knew it, they wouldn't even know how to spell it right. He was taken because Bart could not catch. Yeah. Joey Bart, as much as there was a lot of hype around that guy, he was a little bit of a disappointment. But I heard he's doing better since he left the Giants. But yeah, it's kind of tough when he's up. He was supposed to be the next dude for us, but he really wasn't. Comrade Sammy, healing feels like it takes too long. Yes, I can relate to that for sure. When you're trying to rush healing, or you want it to progress faster than it is, it always feels like you're taking like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. That's kind of how it is with these injuries. But just hang in there. I broke my ribs, I don't know, a few years ago. Cracked a rib by falling down the stairs with my stupid cat. And they told me it was like, it's going to take, I think they were saying like 6 weeks or something like that. And I was like, 6 weeks? And I had a cough at the time. It was super painful. But eventually it healed. It did. Big disappointment. Yeah, he was. Definitely. Yes, that is correct spelling. Thank you, Emo Trash. Totally is exactly right. Okay, I think I'm caught up. Not bad, not bad. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to mention was I put a new trailer. I don't know if you guys noticed. I put a new trailer or clip at the beginning of the stream. Hopefully it doesn't get struck, as most things that I've been posting do. But it was a video I saw of Paul Pope talking about comics, and I thought it was such a great video because Paul Pope is he's one of those like auteur artists that people go crazy over his work. He's amazing. He is like an artist, I wouldn't call him so mainstream. He's definitely more of like a fine artist, comic artist, but he's drawn like Batman and like mainstream stuff. But and when he does come out with things, they're kind of few and far between. He's not on a regular book or anything like that, but he's super smart and really, really regarded in the artist community. And I saw that quote by him, and it was really funny because he was just talking about the beauty of comics, which is exactly how I feel. It's just this merging of visual image and storytelling, and it's unlike anything other. And he was just lamenting about how it's never been really respected in the arts. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, it's comic art. It's not like, oh, we need to study these artists. No, it's comic art. It's like disposable. It's always got that like bastard stepchild stigma to it. But it's just great to hear him articulate it the way. And he was just like, is it about money? Because look at Frank Frazetta, MFer. You know what I mean? Like, and Frank Frazetta's, made tons of money and is like incredible. And he was a comic artist like through and through. So I just love that quote, and I put together that little video, and it'll be in my rotation of trailers too, because whenever I see just the art form of comics be celebrated, be discussed, and be articulated like that, I want to push it out there. So I loved it. I love what he had to say, and just added that in. So that was right before the stream. Just debuted that before this stream. All right, cool. So where are we at? Not bad, not bad. Time 34 minutes in. No technical problems so far, right? We're okay. Everything is okay. No glitches, no buffering. I saw it when you guys said it was buffering. When I went and rewatched the stream, it basically just like muted me when I was talking about Sean's book the whole time, because I guess that's when I was buffering. But hopefully everything's okay. Comrade Sammy says, unfortunately, I do need to dip out right as Rocky is about to get to the comics before getting sidetracked. All right, Comrade Sammy. See you later. Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for saying hello. Go watch the stream when you get back, because there's some awesome, awesome comics. And hit that like, please, before you go. We'll see you next time. All right, let's go. Where are we at? Here? All right. Nice. Okay, so we'll start off with a few softballs here. And then we'll get into the like really good stuff going into it. So this came out a couple weeks ago. Battle Beast #2. I've talked about Battle Beast #1 on stream before when it came out. And they already came out with #2. This has been selling really well for the Invincible universe for Robert Kirkman, and Ryan Ottley's the artist on this. And it's been selling really well because the first issue was awesome. The artwork's incredible. And the concept is pretty simple, where it's like this guy, Battle Beast, who he's from the Invincible universe, is just out to like prove that he is the baddest dude in the galaxy. And so the whole thing in issue 1 was he was just looking for the next victim to like beat up. And if he got beat up, then great, that's the strongest person in the universe, but he's pretty determined to prove that he is the most awesome warrior in the universe. So I'm assuming that's how this whole series is going to go. It's not going to be super deep beyond that, but it's very, very, very violent and cartoony violence, but it is violent nonetheless. And kind of gory, but the artwork's great. Let me just double check. I don't think I've gone through. I just want to make sure I didn't go through Battle Beast 2 already, right? I don't think I did. No, I don't remember looking at this. Even it came out a couple weeks ago. I just never was able to. That's right. I was going to include it in the stream with The Future Is that I did last week, but I decided to just dedicate that whole stream to that one book. So I don't think I went through Battle Beast 2. Let me know if I did. But anyway, it's still cool to look at. It's great. It's got great colors, these like otherworldly sci-fi kind of colors. And Battle Beast is just an awesome design. You just take like a totally ripped dude and put a tiger's head on it, give him like some flowy hair and make him all white, and voila, you got Battle Beast. But yeah, it's he's meeting all these creatures. This one guy was a prince that was inside the body of his latest victim, which was this large warrior golem that he fought. And once he ripped him in half, he pulled out this little body of this prince that was hiding inside of him. So I guess he's gonna like accompany him on his misadventures now. Lindsay Rose says, I vaguely remember this one. Yes, I think hopefully what you remember is issue 1. There's going to be some gnarly panels for sure. Lots of guts and decapitations happening here. Lots of slicing opening things. It just feels like a little boy's like fantasy battle. But Ryan Lotley draws some cool creature designs. And his Battle Beast is awesome. So yeah, I think they're already on either a second or third printing of issue 1, which is always a good sign for any book. But he's not afraid to use his mouth. And then there's just crazy action, crazy ripping off of limbs. It's kind of what you'd expect, you know? It's gruesome. It is. Maybe it's okay because it's alien violence. Maybe it's slightly removed. It's great. I love the colors. Who's doing the colors on this? Annalisa Leone. Name sounds familiar. I wonder if she was doing the colors on Cobra Commander. She might have been doing the colors on Cobra Commander. Cool ship designs. Cool. Yeah. There's just issue 3 looks like it's going to be more blood. More slaughter. So yeah, I mean, it's fun and all, you know, and it's exciting. It's well done, well executed. But hopefully as I read it, there is a little bit of more story that they will insert in there, because this kind of setup could get old really fast. It could still be fun to read, but it could get old really fast. So if you want any kind of longevity, they definitely have to make a compelling human story for us to follow about Battle Beast. And I wouldn't be surprised, because Robert Kirkman's the writer and he's more than capable of doing that. But yeah, here we go. Battle Beast number 2. Fun stuff, battles, blood, gore, great ships, great character designs, great colors, cool poses. The guy says, I hate you, Battle Beast. And this is the world that came from, the Invincible world. And I wonder if they're still doing... So in the first issue, they did this like blind bag that you could get, and there was some exclusive variants in there. I didn't see any of them. I never picked up any of them myself. But they are doing tons of variant covers every issue. So I wonder if they're doing that blind bag again. Not sure. Mo Biggs is here. What's up, Mo Biggs?
Better known as Mo, Big wasn't always the confident voice we hear today.
How did I get number 3 from making one comment? This is the first time anything has been rigged in my favor. I'm having trouble dealing with it. Are you talking about the top fans again? You are actually number 1 now, which doesn't make any sense either. I don't know how it works. I didn't have a chance to look up what is going on with the XP. So yeah, I'm not sure. Timmy Mello says, grab some bandages. Oh, they should do a Battle Beast Band-Aids. That would be an amazing campaign. Battle Beast Band-Aids, and they already have like blood stains on them. Genius. If Thor were an alien lion person, kind of, yeah, it does feel like that world a little bit. Hashtag stop the steal. Rocky AI is arguing with me, saying the Web 1 cover by Vess is not gouache or what? What? What is it saying it is, Mark? If it's not watercolor, what is it? Come on. I love that you're arguing with AI about this. There's the literal splash page. That's right, splash page of guts. A proper battle beast would have a hologram on his chest to tell. Yes, I loved those toys. Do you guys remember that? There's little toys. They were called battle beasts, right? And they had these holograms, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, Mo Biggs, weren't they like heat sensitive? So you didn't know. Maybe I'm confusing that with another toy line, but I thought they were heat sensitive, so you didn't know what team your character was on until you pressed it, and then it would reveal the hologram. Maybe I'm confusing that with another toy line, but it was genius. I loved it. What's up, Jeffrey Beats? How you doing?
10% bogan, 50% bogan, 100% bogan.
How is Australia? How are you doing over there, down under? Don't think that one character's coming back from that. Definitely not. Not atrocious. Oh, Atrocitus. Yes, it does. It does have that feel, doesn't it? It's funny how, like, when people get free reign to design aliens, how there's a lot of similarities in where our brains go. Oftentimes, like multiple limbs, like insects, multiple eyes, no noses. People tend to go through those tropes when they say alien. That's why when you then I feel like when like in movies or whatever, and they have designs for aliens, and sometimes they'll go too far, and you're like, oh, let's go back to what we're familiar with. Multiple arms, multiple eyes, no noses. Feel that. They were heat sensitive. Nice. I loved that. Those battle beasts, they were amazing. Okay. All right, let's go. Next comic. We got a lot to get through, so I don't want to dilly-dally too. Oh, I even forgot this pile. Oh my gosh. We got a lot to get through. All right, this one. Hyde Street number 7. They took a break from the normal art team on the Hyde Street, and I actually didn't pick up those books. I think it was 1 or 2 issues. They took a break, but Ivan Reis is back on this. Ivan Reis, Danny Miki. So I was like, I'm all for more Hyde Street. Because it's stuff like this. My gosh. Really, really great rendering. Oh, it's awesome. Hyde Street's great. It's a great book, great concept, and really creepy. And I don't like horror. I've said that before. Don't like horror. I'm not a big horror fan, that genre, especially in comics. But this has been such a compelling book, really good book. And a lot of it has to do with artwork. It's awesome. Look, these awesome faces, beautiful faces. And the ink work in particular is so refined. Look at that. It's great. Wow. This really packs there's so much movement in the line work. It's not static at all. It's got, just a lot of movement, a lot of energy, even though it's refined and like tight. It's awesome. Look at this beautiful scene. Colors by Brad Anderson. He has been consistently killing it on Ghost Machine's colors. And this stuff is amazing. It's like, look at these skin tones. These kind of greenish skin tones. He has like very subtle highlights here. It's like warm highlights here, cool skin tones. This character just pops. Yeah, the art alone on this is worth the price of admission. Even if you don't like the story, which the story is awesome, or you don't like the characters are awesome. The artwork alone is great. Look at this. Awesome, like Frankenstein monster. And he was shown in one of the last issues on Hyde Street, but I guess he's more of a main character here. Great angle. Love this. Wow, they're introducing more. Oh, so this is based off of these guys here, like these cereal box characters. That's hilarious. It's like a witch, like a ghoul, and like a creature from the Black Lagoon a little bit. And then here are their real world personas. That is awesome. Wow, these guys are all so cool. Great designs. I wonder if Ivan Reis and look at that werewolf boy. I wonder if they are working traditionally. I think so. Would like to think so. I would love to see these in black and white. Yeah, there is just so much mark making on these pages. Brilliant. This is a cool issue. I love it. I love the idea of taking those serial characters and making them like horror, evil monsters. Dr. Jelly and Mr. Peanut Butter. It's a cool little vintage ad here. All right. There you go. Hyde Street. Highly recommend this book. It's been a fun ride so far, and just the artwork's on another level. So awesome stuff. With our hellish hate, we will burn you alive. That is your fate. Red Lantern Oath. So nerdy. That bear trap, yes. I don't want to meet that kid. Does he have black eyes? Yes. That is a sure way of cueing the audience in that something bad is about to happen when eyes are reversed like that and you have black, what do they call it? Black whites of your eyes. It's creepy time once that happens. Do not invite in. I can't even watch that episode of Haunted Cosmos. I'm enjoying an Aussie drink right now for Jeffrey. I love Bundaberg ginger beer with the little like pop cap. That stuff is so good. Rocky is not a fan of horror. He prefers psychological thrillers like The Story of a Lady Who Fell. That should be the next issue of Hyde Street. The lady feeding the pigs at the zoo. Oh my goodness. I'm just a constant butt of your joke, Mo Biggs. All right, so those two books I picked up a couple of weeks ago, I think. Yeah. This book we'll look at, this one came this week, everybody. Planet Death, #1, issue 1 came out. So do you guys remember? I have the, let me grab the, I think I have it on the shelf. I have the, oh no, I think it was here. Yes. Do you guys remember, I was talking about Planet Death when the Ash Can and the issue 0 came out, and they had and here they are, and they had a written article in the back. They're like hyping it up, and they're like, this is what Planet Death means to us. It's about comics, and they told this whole story about how they purchased all the old paper that old comics were printed on before, just to give you that same like newsprinty feel, and that's what they printed issue number 0 on. So they kind of waved this giant flag of, we love comics so much, we're gonna print them in like old school paper, and they did, you know, and it does have that feel. But I remember reading this and I was like, all right guys, like pump the brakes a little bit. It's cool, but like you don't have to be so dramatic about this paper stock. But after you declare something like that, I'm waiting for, you know, all your comics to be printed like that, to feel like that. But lo and behold, it's on regular glossy paper. This issue 1 is on regular glossy paper with a glossy cover, and I'm like, wait, what happened to we want to keep comics nostalgic and old, what we grew up on and all that kind of stuff? It quickly went out the window. I don't know what happened. Maybe I misread it, but anyway, we'll give them a pass. When they mentioned this book, they said they were going to be more digest format, and I thought they were going to be slightly oversized as well, but they're the same exact size of a regular comic. So I was a little surprised by that. They do seem thicker than a regular comic. So I'm not exactly... Oh, I know why. Because they also put a preview of another series they're doing, which is kind of cool that we get to look at that too. But anyway, this is issue 1. I think it's going to be a 6-issue miniseries, if I'm not mistaken. But I totally dig the art and the concept. It's written by the creator of John Wick, who is... I think his name's Derek. Yeah, Derek Kolstad is the creator and writer of John Wick, the John Wick movies. So he's a writer on this, and they get this crazy awesome Italian artist named Tomas Giorello to do the art. That's what grabbed me about the preview issues that we looked at several weeks ago, was the art style, and here we go. Oh, I guess maybe... Oh yeah, this is the same page. You can actually see the difference in the printing, right? This is the glossy print, the glossy paper, and then this is the newsprinty paper, which the colors dull tremendously on this. And that's why old school comics that were printed on this kind of paper were colored so boldly and like almost like primary colors, because the paper absorbed the ink so much that it would like dull out the colors. So they pushed them a little bit more saturated, a little bit more punchy, and then they just became the colors that we all know and love of all these characters. But you can just see the difference between printing on like glossy stock versus newsprint stock, of how much color gets desaturated in that. But it looks like they have some... Oh yeah, here it is. So they're fleshing out the story. It's like they skipped a page here, and then... Yeah, it's the same image, but they're changed the dialogue on it. But yeah, just look at the difference in these pages. They both look actually cool. They both have cool feel to it, but look how much different the colors are between the two of those. So this is kind of awesome. This right here is the mantra of the story, and it's relatively straightforward. Destroy the weapon, return home. That is the mission of these characters. And I think they even kind of chant it as they go out there and battle these alien worlds. But it's kind of cool. You just have a really, really simple concept, and then you build this very complex sci-fi world around a simple concept. There he goes. Destroy the weapon, return home. These colors are nice, though. We'll see the credits at the end to see who the colorist is, if it's the artist or if it's a different colorist. It's cool. These huge space epic shots. Yeah, there's the shot from that. Planet Death. It's a cool name. Planet Death. Love Bundy ginger beer. Bundy is about 4 hours drive from here. No kidding. I didn't know it was a location, Bundaberg. I thought it was just a name. Lindsay Rose says, I want to see your writings on Reddit. That would be awesome. Rocky's disappointment is keen. That neon yellow from yesterday makes sense. Star Wars, what? Yeah. Definitely influenced by all the good things of sci-fi. You see like Aliens, Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica, all that good stuff. This fun colors. Yeah, I'm really excited about the artwork in this. I don't remember. They have a sequence here where the guys are jumping out too. Oh yeah. Wow, look at the difference. Oh, it's actually different. It is a different page. I thought it was the same page for a second there, but you can just see the difference in the colors. Well, they're adding these like almost watercolory kind of textures back here. I know this page is in here. There it is. So different. Yeah, I don't know which one I like better. I think I like the glossy one. I think it's like looking at 720p versus like 4K a little bit. But I don't know. There is something. The nostalgia's there. I get it. The feel, the look. I get it. I'm just wondering why they didn't keep doing it. They made such a big hoo-ha about it, and then they stopped doing it. It's cool alien design. See? No nose. This guy could be in Battle Beast right here. No nose, jacked up sharp teeth. We're either in Lord of the Rings or like Planet Death. Just epic stuff. Wow, that's a cool design. That's rad. Very cool design. Yeah, this artwork's awesome. I like it. It's got a European flavor to it a little bit. Here's some other books they're working on. I swear these look so different with the colors, the way they are. Oh, same artist. Wow. Save now. Same artist. Tomas Giorello. Yeah, I don't know about this one. It's about a battle priest. Okay, so this is a preview of another series which has caught my attention. It's called Cul-de-sac. I don't know what it's about. It seems like a horror series, but the artist is Wayshak. We've looked at Wayshak's work before. I believe the only time I've seen it that I showed it on stream was he did a issue of Violator, the Spawn book, the Spawn spin-off book. He did an issue. And he's got this cool, very aggressive pen and ink style, Wayshak does. And I know that Jason Bascom, who has come in my chat a number of times, and I watch a lot of his shows. He has a YouTube show called Topicless, and he also does live art streams. Good dude. Unhinged is his call sign on the chat. But I know he loves Wayshak's art, and you can also tell how Jason's art lives in this world. Very much this like sketchy, super hatching pen and ink style. It's cool. Ugh. Eyeballs. Wow, there's a lot of bloody gore this week. It's cool. They're going through this like pen and ink, black and white with splashes of color, but then some full colored stuff like this. That's kind of a cool look. Sam Keith is another artist I think of when I look at Wayshak's art. Oh, this is awesome. Look at this fan art. Planet Death by Maya, age 6. I'm just reading this because this was kind of the same spot in the previous issue where they talked about the paper. I'm wondering if they even address it here. I don't think so. That would be funny. They're like, we ran out of paper. Or we love glossy paper. Yeah, I don't think they say anything about it. Anyway, there you go. First issue of Planet Death #1 by Bad Idea Comics. Looks cool. Highly recommend if you just love like eye candy art, sci-fi, army battle scenes, aliens. It's pretty cool. I like the old paper stock look, Mark's Music Obsession says. Cool. Yeah, it's got a feel to it for sure. It's got a neat feel to it. Want to make a decent alien? Remove the nose from the facial structure. Bug legs. Exactly. Voldemort does feel like an alien. Exactly. There's something in the human psyche about, like, if you take away the nose, all of a sudden it doesn't feel human. Bugs make great reference for alien designs and whatnot. So multiple limbs, mandibles. Okay, what am I looking at next? Should I do... Okay, let's do some back issues. So, these are so fun. Some of the... so this weekend when I went to Escapist Comics, they were having a 50% off of certain number of their back issues. And I've owned some of these over the course of my lifetime in one way or another. I'm in some form or fashion, but either I don't have them with me, they got lost after I moved around a lot as a kid and became an adult, or what. But some of these I don't have and I just bought them again. Or some of them I have part of the collection and I bought them again. But these were really fun to find because at least these particular back issues represented like Image era, 90s, 2000. And so it was really fun to find these. This is Fighting American number 3. And the artist on this is Stephen Platt. So this is kind of cool because Fighting American was basically he was a creation by Joe Simon and Jack Kirby, the king Jack Kirby. It was like their version of Captain America. And then I don't know what happened exactly, but Rob Liefeld, who created Awesome Entertainment, was one of his labels or publishing companies after Image, got the rights to do Fighting American. I don't know the story of it. But anyway, Stephen Platt was an artist that Rob poached from Marvel Comics. And most of you might know Stephen Platt had this short-lived but mind-blowing run on Moon Knight. And then he quickly got snatched up by Rob Liefeld, brought into Image Comics, and he was the main artist on Prophet. And Stephen Platt, his style was just totally like... was like totally like reminiscent of, or just it just encapsulated that Image era of just like crazy drawing that didn't make any sense, just drawing for drawing's sake. I would say that was like Prophet was just like 1,000 bullet casings and like 1,000,000 arrows and just like 5,000 muscles. But I would say when he got to Fighting American, he kind of toned down a little bit, if you can believe that. But it's kind of cool to just see his artwork. I still just kind of revert to a little kid when I look at Stephen Platt's artwork. There was something about it that just was... This is tame for Platt stuff, actually. Actually, that artwork that I have right behind my head, that's from Prophet. Not an original, it's just a print of one of the covers he did for Prophet. But yeah, there was just something just so crazy cool about what he would draw. It didn't make any sense. It was just, everything was just aggressive, exciting, dynamic. The anatomy made no sense. His faces were crazy, but I just loved it. So it was kind of cool to see this again. Look at this crazy, I don't even know what's going on here. But you just see those things that, as a kid, I don't even remember if I read Fighting American as a kid. I definitely read Prophet. But it's just those things that you see and they take you back to childhood. I think he did his own inks on this too. Yeah, there's no inker on here. This guy looks like Wolverine meets Hawk and Dove. All of these guys are just derivative of characters that were already created. This captures that. This is a Rob Liefeld drawing. Oh, this is kind of cool. This is like a preview of a series. I didn't pick this up when I was a kid, but it's called Kaboom, and it was drawn by a guy by the name of Kieran Grant. But this is kind of cool. They have like a short preview of it, just the pencils in the back. I love that. I love seeing this preview work. It's awesome. Awesome pencils. I watched recently, there was this interview that Mark Miller did on his YouTube channel. He interviewed Joe Madureira, who is he was like the hardest artist in the 90s at one point, got discovered super young, then ended up becoming the regular artist on X-Men after Jim Lee left, I think, and then had a huge run. He was on Deadpool, made a lot of money off of that. X-Men went meteoric on that, and then he left and joined Image Comics and created his own series called Battle Chasers. But it was awesome just to hear him talk about that time period and his influences, and just what a unique snapshot of the comic industry was. It was like, you know, some of the top artists were like multimillionaires because of how hot their work was. And it was just, Image was literally everything. It wasn't about storytelling necessarily. It was just about how can you draw the coolest splash page ever, the coolest pose for every character ever. So yeah, that's where Stephen Platt comes from. And I think Stephen Platt's now just doing like storyboards for live action stuff. He went on to storyboards. Joe Mad himself, he went into video games, started his own video game company called Airship Syndicate. I should have like made that. I should have made that link. Maybe I'll pop a link later of that interview with Joe Mad because it was awesome. Okay, here's some other back issues I picked up. Look at these. These are so cool. Love it. I'm missing issue 3, but I got 1, 2, and 4. This cover is so stinking cool. Still cool. Still awesome. Still makes me so excited as a kid to see this. Okay, hang on a second. Let me catch up. Cranberry Landers is here. What's up, Cranberry?
This is a cranberry, full of power.
I remember Fighting American, I think, Cranberry says. It was like their version of Captain America. Huh, I'm not seeing the resemblance. Not at all, right, Mo Biggs? Not even close. Fighting America needs strong boots. It's a cooler version of Captain... I wouldn't say cooler. It was... I don't even remember... No, I do remember the Jack Kirby version of Fighting American. But I'd always say it was always like Captain America light a little bit. Like you can't, once you're the first, it's hard to dethrone, the original. That time I heard the cat, Cranberry, stop abusing your wrench by saying things that deserve a timeout. I'm deeply sorry. He does look cooler moving. No, Captain America is almost like the perfect character design. I appreciate they had the balls to give him a shield, right? They weren't even trying to make him different. Can't boss me around. Shields would have come in handy during the trench warfare of World War I. I got to run. It's sad. I'll rewatch tonight. Have a good one. I'll see you later, Jeffrey Beats. Thanks for stopping by. Cran has to... Wow, everybody's got to go back to work. This is Wednesday, people. This is Wednesday. This is a sacred day for comic books. When you finish your healthy snack, I will turn the Wi-Fi back on. Scary fangs, avert your eyes, 13-year-olds. Pitt was... Speaking of like trying to do their version of a popular character. This was Dale Keown's version of, he just came off of Incredible Hulk, right? So can't even imagine what he was influenced by when he was creating Pitt. But Pitt's an alien. So you all know what we got to do. This is amazing how it's like full circle moment. But we all know how to make an alien an alien. Pitt's got no nose, 0 nose. And we instantly know it's not the Hulk. It's an alien. Look how much like crazy rock and roll punk energy. All right, I'll let you out. Hang on a second. Look how much... Oh, it's kind of cool. This is a little newsprinty too. Not as hardcore newsprinty as that Planet Death ash can, but it does have the duller newsprint quality paper. But look at all the punk, rock, biker gang, rock and roll energy that is just being thrown on this page. This is one of the coolest issue ones of Image Comics. I just love this. You cannot beat this. It's really, really fun. I just feel like Dale Keown was like, this is all the stuff I couldn't really do on Hulk. Just made it more insane. Look at these veins. The like double lighting, cross hatching. So cool. Not only that, he has like retractable claws. And then a gratuitous vertical page or horizontal page for no reason. Double page. It's awesome. Mark says, I don't have to go back to work. Nah. No-No's Hulk. That's right. Pitt is cool except for Timmy. Oh, the character Timmy. I was like, why are you picking on Timmy Mello? Yes, the character Timmy. I mean, I think it's kind of cool they had to give him this, like, innocent boy to counter the, like, bloodthirsty alien. It's kind of cool dynamic. Even the like non-action pages that didn't have Pitt in it were so good. The drawing in this is amazing. That Pitt, he's awesome. Hardcore. Even the panel borders are like aggressive. Yeah, I remember looking at this as a kid, just being like totally blown away. And then look at the size of this dude's arm, his cybernetic arm. Amazing. It's surprising he doesn't like get knocked over. And then you think Pitt has a lot of veins and like double lit muscles. Look at these guys. Really cool. Look at this awesome Sam Keith Pitt pin up here. Love it. Who is this guy? Jim Somerville. Don't know him. Must be a friend of Dale Keown. That looks weird. Anyway, really cool. Cool blast from the past. That issue 1 is like outstanding. Here's issue 2. Now it's printed on glossier paper. Wow. His colors are a little... Joe Chiodo. No kidding. Joe Chiodo did both. Huh. I wonder if it is the printing. Look how much brighter this printing is compared to this paper, which is that newsprinty paper. It almost looks a little muddier on this paper. I kind of prefer the grungy issue 1 look, though. These are great faces. Faces are like bigger than life. It's awesome. Awesome Dale Keown stuff. Just got shot in the face. Another for sure indicator that he's alien is that his blood is pink. They actually came out today. There was like an issue of Predator. It was like Black, White, and Blood or something like that, like one of those gimmick books. But I thought the funny thing is when you think of blood, you think of red, right? But because it was Alien, the Predator, his blood is green, so all the highlights in the book were green as opposed to red. I thought that was kind of funny. This guy, crazy. Dale Keown's got this nice like horror vibe to his work. No nose, dude. Alien. Dead Giveaway. Super Patriot. We looked at that one week. Funny. Love it. They don't have books like this anymore. Here's issue 4. I'm missing issue 3. I gotta find issue 3 one of these days. It's great. Dale Keown draws good kids too. Wow. Man, they need to come out with like an artist edition of Pitt. Good stream. See you later, Camp Cranberry. Ripped. That is an understatement, Lindsay Rose. Pitt is more than ripped. It's awesome faces. It's teeth that just doesn't stop. Imagine drawing all the badassery of Pitt on that double pager, then having to draw that goofy twerp Twimmy in the last panel. Wow, look at her. She looks great. It's so exciting, so dynamic. There he goes. Timmy's, it's kind of looking a little kick butt there. We just killed this alien. I didn't even get what Timmy, I think he had some sort of like psychic telepathic abilities. I'm not sure. That's the best. The best title for a letters page. Pitt watches. Anybody grab a Pitt watch? Wow. All these out. There is Stephen Platt. Look at that, Stephen Platt. Oh, that's amazing. That is the black and white image that I have back there is this cover. I love that cover. It's awesome. So good. All right, so that was Pitt. Okay, keeping on the Image comics of that time period. Let me unbag these. The cool thing now, I don't know if you guys knew this. Oh no, this wasn't it. I don't know if this is totally nerdy, but we are talking about comics. So your typical bag and board. And then you have tape here. I actually had a conversation with this gal, Kayla, on X. She works at a comic book store. She's actually come into my chat a couple times before, early on. She's a comics writer, comics reader, writer, knows her comic stuff. And she was talking about bagging and boarding books. And so one of the things I've always wondered, and I'd love to hear what you guys thought, but when you bag and board your books, you put a piece of tape on it. And one of my pet peeves about tape on bag and boards is tape that rips. So like when you go to open up the bag and you're reading the comic and it rips, oh, I hate that. And so I've always been on this quest of like trying to find tape that's not too sticky, because sometimes it can be too sticky and then if it touches the comic it can rip it, but not too weak that it like splits. Again, just hearing these words come out of my mouth, I'm like, this is the nerdiest conversation ever. So I've always been on this quest of like, well, what is the right tape? Because some stores get it right. I just don't know what kind of tape it is. And the funny thing is she answered and she gave me a link to the tape they use, which is awesome. This tape actually is pretty good. This kind of tape right here on this. I don't know what this tape is. It's pretty good. The tape that I use on my bags that need to be taped, I've started using this. It's actually wall safe tape. It's not a clear tape, but it's thick enough that it doesn't tear, and then it's not super sticky because it's wall safe tape. So I found this actually works pretty cool. I don't know how archival it is or how long it lasts, but it's worked so far. But then now the newest invention, well, not newest, but ever since I became an adult and started collecting my comics, now they have the bags and boards, which I use, that have the built-in tape, right? So you just peel this off and then it's just built in to the bag. So you don't have to worry about taping anymore, which is kind of cool. So yeah, I don't know why I brought that up. Oh, because I was unbagging this. Side story. Okay, here we go. Picked up these bad boys this weekend. Wetworks issue 1 and 2, created by Whilce Portacio, one of the founding members of Image Comics. And if I'm not mistaken, Wetworks was one of the last of the original books to debut in Image Comics, because Whilce had a family issue going on. I believe his sister was dying, actually, and so it delayed him of getting Wetworks out. But I remember as a kid hearing about this story, hearing about what Whilce was going, and seeing some of this artwork and like being blown, getting my mind blown, and just like can't wait for this book to come out. And it just took forever. But this is this amazing cover for issue 1 of Wetworks. And it's pretty much, if you take like special ops, military, and combine it with vampire hunting, or like the world of vampires. Oh, it even has this extra gatefold out. Look how cool this is, man. Whilce Portacio. And when I found out this dude, when I was a kid, when I found out he was Filipino, I'm like, what? Because I'm Filipino. I was like, oh my gosh, Whilce Portacio's Filipino. So this is a trifold cover. I guess not. Yeah, and he talks about, wow, this is the tiniest type ever. I think he talks about why he was delayed and his sister dying. But yeah, this is a blast from the past. I definitely had these issues. I have no idea where they are now, so I was happy to find them again. I don't know if they have like a Wetworks. I've never seen like a Wetworks graphic novel or stuff. So I've never been able to locate or read these original issues in a long time. So super excited to see these. Whilce, man, this guy's so good. He's the little blonde kid. What does non-mellow suck? Why does non-mellow suck? Mo. He's the little blonde kid in the book Rocky's showing us. Just look at him and you'll have to... With some of the scaredy cat expressions Timmy makes in the book, one can only assume he's addicted to wedgies. He is kind of a nerdy little kid. But then he gets like I said, those telepathic powers. Gets a little creepy there. Lindsay Rose says, I'm the kind that feels bad for those kids. More ripped. I'm thinking of creating a super team to appeal to the Lindsays of the world. The leader will be Scrappy Doo, then Snarf, Slimer, Scooter the GoBot, and finally Jar Jar Binks. That's a good team. That is a good team right there, Mo Biggs. See? Lindsay Rose likes it. Man. Scrappy is funny too. I'm now replacing Slimer with Nermal from Garfield. Or what was the name of that character in Snoopy? He looked like Snoopy, but kind of like the hobo Snoopy that like came out of the desert. I can't remember what his name was. I'm telling you, man. These are the things nobody wants to talk about, but everybody wonders. Like somebody just tell me what is the right tape to use, and I will gladly buy it and use it. Look at this awesome coloring. I love these designs. Not only are they this cool, amazing military team, but then in this first issue, they get like not contaminated, but like absorbed by this like gold goop that kind of turns into, it's almost like Terminator, makes them like Terminator metal. It's awesome. So cool. And become bulletproof. And they're called Wetworks because they got to get in close to the fight and they get wet from the blood. That's how Wetworks works. But it's cool that they added this like vampire werewolf aspect to a military story. So cool. There we go. Whilce Portacio obviously, not obviously, but claim to fame, worked on X-Men, X-Factor, Punisher, all the big books at Marvel. I'd argue nobody can draw stylish hair as good as Whilce Portacio can. Even the vampires got cool hair. Here we go, issue 2. Oh, look at that. I love this guy. I think his name is Grail. Great mask design. And then he had these like ammo feed. It's awesome. I actually have these toys. McFarlane did Wetworks toys. They're pretty cool. I don't know who this artist is. Never heard of this artist, Jeff Repner. I don't think he worked on the book, though. Cool pinup. Even Wils's tech looked cool. Look at that. It's awesome. Yeah, there's just an intensity to these comics. Just everything is like jacked up with testosterone. Just made it exciting for somebody. I was like the exact target for this stuff. Fun. Wetworks. Great designs, great character designs, great team. Didn't have the longevity of like say a Wildcats or a Youngblood. I don't know if that was partially Wils's schedule or what, but I really like them as a team. Super cool. All right, that was the blast from past for Image. Image stuff. This was an awesome book that I found I bring this book up because it's drawn by one of my favorite artists, Jason Pearson, and that Body Bags book, I've advertised it before a number of times or promoted it a number of times pre-stream. That's coming out on about Jason Pearson's work. He's passed away, but check this out. This was an annual that isn't easy to find, and I was able to find it at this back issue set. But look at this stuff that Jason Pearson was doing. This was in 2010. But he's just a great storyteller and just draws action really, really well. You guys remember that John Byrne image that we looked at yesterday with Wolverine like up in the rafters? Like that's totally referencing that right there. And one of the distinguishing factors of Jason Pearson's work is he really knew how to use like black graphic details, graphic shapes and forms to like lead your eye around. Just had a great sense of camera and staging. Like, check this out. This is so cool. He's punching this angle up here, and your eye is immediately following the black, right? The highest contrast on the page your eye is drawn to. Your eye is going up here to the silhouette of the guy's leg into this panel. Wolverine like clubs this dude in the neck, and his arm like wraps here. We go here to his silhouette, and he's right here. This angle brings us down here, and he looks. There's Wolverine there. Beautiful, beautiful way of leading your eye around the page. And his work is just chock full of those kind of techniques. This is great. Really great. Great faces, expressions. It's great. Yeah, I own a few original pages from Jason Pearson, not from this book, but from another X-Men book that he did. Just kind of side pages. They didn't cost that much, but they're amazing to look at in person. Pretty cool. Love it. I really wish Jason Pearson was still around to do sequential work. I mean, he was just really good at it. Heard he wrestled with a lot of demons of just not knowing how good he was. But he's amazing. So this was a fun find. X-Force Annual. What number was this? 1. This was, yeah, hasn't been easy for me to find, and I was pleasantly surprised that this one store carried it. Loving this deep dive in Sky. How does Rocky manage to stay under 100K subscribers with this riveting comment? I don't know, you know? Yeah, I don't know. I ask myself that question all the time. I'm like, everybody wants to know. I'm not gonna get this book. All right. Oh my gosh. I can't believe I almost passed this up. How is their notable tape emoji? Big glue probably paid off YouTube. Hear me out. Best thing to come from early 90s image is Savage Dragon, Adam says.
This is Adam.
Hey.
What's up, Adam? Really? 90s image is Savage Dragon. Savage Dragon's great. I really liked it. I have the artist edition of Savage Dragon. I have one of the phone book. What do they call it? Archive editions. It's great. It's in black and white. I thought that Dragon was great. The first like origin arc was awesome, but it went off the rails really fast for me. The plot just went cuckoo crazy and then just went all over the place. So I've not kept up with Dragon, but the first Dragons were some of the best. And then Jason Pearson's Adam. Have we talked about this before? Jason Pearson did a Dragon series. I have it right here next to my desk. I know I've shown this before. Same guy who we just looked at that annual, that X-Force annual. He did this, and this is one of the best Dragon stories. I feel like it's beautiful. I would love to see an artist edition on this. But look at his version of Dragon. Look at that. Crazy, jacked up. Man, loved it. Look at this. This is one of my favorite. Look at that Jason Pearson goodness on Dragon. That is a serious arm right there. Love that. Anyway, this is awesome. If I haven't told you about this, Adam, go find this, and you will understand everything that I love about comics. Okay, before I move on to the other finds at Escapist Comics, how are we doing on time? We're doing all right on time. How are you guys doing on time? I could talk about tape more. I'm going to zoom out a little bit more. This came out, surprised me. I wanted this. I heard that it was coming out, but I wasn't sure that my store was going to carry it. And so on a whim, I said, hey, can you guys put this? And they're like, oh, it might be too late. And then next thing I know, it came out. So I'm really excited about this, but check this out. This is a new thing from DC. They're trying this thing. It's called a work in progress. I think this is it's basically stealing money from collectors like me, because it's pretty much like an artist edition, but not really. It's like a noir edition. You guys have seen many times I've shared on stream the noir edition or black and white editions of books. They'll just reprint the same issue, take out all the color, and you just have the black and white inks, which I love. It's not a true artist edition because it's not like a scan from the original art. So this isn't an artist edition. They call it a work in progress, but it's basically just like black and white artwork of this issue, All-Star Superman. This is the size. So this is like a regular comic book size we just looked at, Planet Death. Look how size. This is like an artist edition size. So 11 by 17, like original artboard size that they print this out. But it's saddle stitched, right? So it's not because it's only one issue, it's not like a hardbound or, digest bound amount of pages. But to see Frank Whiteley's artwork, black and white, is awesome. And I'm so excited that this came in. I can't even fit it all on stream, but you guys can get the idea here. Let me make sure this is focused. Yep, and it's... So yeah, this is... And I think they released this because of the Superman movie coming out this weekend. I believe they are doing an edition like this for Absolute Batman, which is crazy because I already bought the Absolute Batman. What do they call it? Was it Noir Edition? Yeah. This was the... I love that sound. Speaking of tape, I love that sound. I've shown this before on stream, but this was the Noir edition of Absolute Batman. And this actually is kind of scans from the original board, but just this issue. And I think they're releasing this at this size and calling it a work in progress. So even though I already paid extra money for this, I probably am going to buy this size because look how cool it is at this size. John is here.
Goes, what's your name? He goes, John.
Sean, are you guys steering this show into a making fun of Old Man Rocky show? Is that what this has become? Is this all I am to you? Tape and old man talk? Look how awesome this is. I love this because as an artist, like you can connect with this. Like if I put down a mark this size, that's how it'll turn out. This is how, Frank Quitely did it. If it was a true artist edition, I would think that I would see, correction, whiteout correction, if it was like a scan from the original page. But this seems like it's the black and white art, like leveled out, corrected already right before colors. But even still, it's awesome to see it at size, original size. It's really, whoa, my exposure is going nutso. That's why. Sorry about that. There. Yeah, it's really cool to see this. It's almost like a coloring book version, but to see it at size. And you can just see where Quitely added in extra detail like on this face, but look how simple he kept the rest of the body. I don't think I have this issue handy to look at the color version versus this, but it's really great. And I think because I've been buying all these large editions from Batman Hush, this, all these treasury editions, whatever, they give them all these fancy names. I keep getting suckered into buying all these because they're awesome. I'm single-handedly keeping the comic industry afloat. They just keep repurposing the same artwork over and over again and giving me these different versions, and I keep falling for it. $3M Pater's tape, of course. No, that's the worst. It's absolute worst. Even this person that I asked online about what tape she used, she was saying how she hates it when people use Scotch tape on comic bags and boards. And I've seen that done before. So no 3M Pater. You don't want, I mean, I know collectors use 3M Pater's tape, but it's this big blue mark on it. No thanks. Is that a character or a reference to a volleyball? I think it's Snoopy-like character he was referring to, Linz. John says, did you hear the Pitt news? No. Mo Big says, I saw Dale made a video about it, but I haven't watched it yet. What's the news? Mandy is going to do the omnibus for Dale. Really? That's cool. He's going to do an omnibus. I heard that it was in the works. I know it was kind of in the CG world, but there was some drama around it. That's going to be great. That's going to be another thing I'm going to be spending on. I think I remember the Spike character. Was that his name? The Snoopy character? Was it Spike? Yes. I think you're right, Mo Biggs. That's right. Cranberry's lurking again. What's up, Cranberry? Okay, let's see. Now I'm hearing Youngblood's song. What's that? Rocky still doesn't even know I'm here. Turn page, read chat, turn page, read chat, and repeat. This is a Neil Adams pinup that they added in here at the end. Very cool. Yeah, it's awesome to see the mark making. Neil Adams was kind of a sketch, very more illustrative style. Brought this realism, this hyper realism to his artwork. And it's cool to see these ink mark lines. It's great. It's really expressive. Very cool. This is the iconic Superman cover, and it's awesome to see it without any of the dressing on here, just by itself. It's cool to see this at size because oftentimes some of the like mistakes and the at least when I'm looking at Quitely's work, like I often say like, wow, he's got really clean line work, but when you see it at size, it's not as clean as you would think. It's just when it gets shrunk down, it really tightens up. So it's kind of cool to witness in person. Yeah, it's almost kind of scratchy his line a little bit. It's amazing. Really good. I love this. DC, if you are watching, yeah, I'm just gonna have to buy all of these. I don't know how many they're planning on doing this, but they're awesome. Maybe comics should just be this size all the time. Like, that's it. No more regular floppy size. Just huge. Maybe give us more. It'll give us more of an appreciation of the artwork if we're reading it at this size all the time. So good. Why do I sound like Hermione? What? Rocky still doesn't know I do. I guess Bancroft is too snobby to show up here today. Or snooty. Dang. YouTube man is keeping an honest rock down. It's the only explanation for why I'm number 1 at the moment. What is this top bands thing? Lindsay Rose is number 1, according to my... Jeffrey Beats Who Left is number 4. How does that make any sense? I don't get it. I really don't get it. So reads book while ignoring chat, finish book and reads 3 chats and starts new book. Well, that's how, John. It is a coloring book. John, you know me. I mean, you know me on YouTube at least, and this is par for the course, my friend. All right, let's get into the deep dive stuff. This was one of the books I found in Escapist Comics. I have not seen this printed in a long time, actually. This compilation was printed in 2002. So it's kind of cool, this store, Escapist Comics. They have racks and racks and shelves and shelves and shelves of graphic novels, along with their back issues, which is a totally different floor. But the graphic novels are just like, you can't imagine how many are on the wall. And I feel like some of the ones that they still have and that they're still selling, they just sell them at cover price, but I'm like, some of these are way out of print. Like this, I don't think is in print anymore. And but it's just still on the shelf. So I feel like nobody checks their shelf inventory. They just leave it up there until somebody buys it, and then you just buy it at cover price. But anyway, this is a great compilation because it is issues that are drawn by David Mazzucchelli, who you guys might remember was the artist on Batman Year One. Remember I looked at that artist edition on stream, or unboxed that artist edition on stream? Mazzucchelli is one of the top comic storytellers in my brain. Batman Year One is one of the pinnacle comics that I've ever read in my life. And he also worked with Frank Miller on Batman Year One. He also worked with Frank Miller on Daredevil Born Again. And so Born Again came after this run right here of these issues on Daredevil. But he was the regular artist on Daredevil for a good chunk of time, for a few issues. So yeah, this is a compilation of a bunch of his work. But Mazzucchelli's amazing. Shanth, I don't know if Shanth has shared any stories about Mazzucchelli on his stream. He is not a big fan of David Mazzucchelli because he actually had him as a teacher at school. And one of the things about David Mazzucchelli that a lot of people know is he was probably one of the hottest artists in mainstream comics at the time in the 80s, because of his work on Daredevil and Batman. But at some certain point, he pretty much just rejected mainstream comics and left and did his own thing. And he still worked in comics, but all of them were like super independent. Not like, he just hated the idea of superhero comics, and so he never worked on superhero comics again, which is a shame because he was so good at it. But yeah, I remember some stories that Shant shared with me from that class, and needless to say, Shant was a huge fan of superhero comic books, and Mazzucchelli was not, and he kind of poo-pooed all over all over anybody who wanted to do superhero comic books. So that wasn't a good experience for Shant, but I'll let him tell that story. But check this out. This is great stuff. Like, Mazzucchelli was somebody who had such a command of human anatomy, but he still kept it really exciting and dynamic, and still had like a simplification. As he grew as an artist, as a comic artist, he would simplify more and more and more. But this was actually still at a high level of rendering. It just felt like he must have used a lot of like photo reference or stuff, because his anatomy was so good and his likenesses were awesome. It just made it very, very like human. I think Daredevil was a great book for him to be on. It wasn't about like, world altering powers and like beams and like mutants. It was just about this guy in a suit in the middle of a city, Hell's Kitchen, just doing acrobatics and like dynamic crime fighting. That's why Batman worked really well with Mazzucchelli as well. But super cool stuff. Look at these faces. I love the coloring on this too. Look at these faces. It's great. Just see that trio of faces. And then that trio of faces. And Mazzucchelli's a great storyteller. Even after he left superhero comics and started doing his more like independent things. Actually, I'll pull out one of his comics that he did. One of his independent comics he did. He got really abstract with his style, but his storytelling was really always solid. And that was just something that he was just great at. You could always get a sense of like pacing and action and where everybody was in the scene and timing and just beautiful like character moments like this. Great stuff, really dramatic. I love seeing this all compiled together. And then the way that this was reproduced, I feel like the colors are really bold and poppy here because this was probably printed on that newsprinty kind of stuff. And this graphic novel here is more glossy paper. So it just makes the colors like just vibrant. Just like we were looking at Planet Death. Look at that, guys. It all ties together. I planned all of this, really. Look at this cool shot of the Brooklyn Bridge. That takes serious skill to draw that kind of angle. And you can see how him and Frank Miller really vibed well. Oh, look at that face. That's awesome. The shadow work on that, amazing. The ink lines. The characters just felt really real. Alive, like with natural expressions. This is awesome. So yeah, I always knew he did like a few issues there, a few issues here, but it's nice to see a lot of them just compiled like one book with Mazzucchelli's work. And this isn't even with Frank Miller right now. This is, I believe the writer is Denny O'Neil. Yep. I would so color that page, Lindsay Rose says. You know, Lindsay Rose, there's some great books like DC started doing this. How do let me put this here. Sorry. Let me get a couple things for you guys to look at. So, Lindsay Rose, this is for you. DC started doing this. I don't know if they still do, but they have a whole bunch of these that they did. But they actually made coloring books. And I picked this up because this is almost kind of like an artist edition of Bruce Timm's work, but it's literally an adult coloring book. And they did it for a bunch of different artists. And it's just the black and white art. It was really cheap, but I was like, wow, this is like an artist edition. But it was super cheap, even though it's called a coloring book. But you can buy these, and then you can just color in this. So you should look it up. Just look up the DC adult coloring books, and you'll find stuff like this. And then the other thing I pulled off my shelf was, here's a Mazzucchelli. This was a magazine that he produced independently called Rubber Blanket. Really hard to find. And as you can tell, this is not his artwork. This is another artist's artwork. But he would produce these. It was kind of more like an indie magazine with indie comics in it. But he would also draw his own comics. So check this out. This is the same guy, right? Mazzucchelli. And who just drew those amazing Daredevil pages. And then this is a story he did called Big Man. And look how simple his style. This is way after Batman Year One, way after Daredevil. Look how simple his style got. Still cool, though. But it's not a superhero story by any stretch of the imagination. It's more just like a human story about this weird character called Big Man that just washes up on shore. And these people in this town like don't know what to do with him. They think he's a freak. They kind of treat him like a freak. And he befriends this mentally disabled girl. And they just kind of live life together a little bit. But then they're also discriminated against in the town. But a lot of this is like wordless, right? So it's like just visual storytelling, which Mazzucchelli is amazing at, but very different from his superhero stuff, but still amazing. It's a great image. It's almost like a woodcut. So yeah, a lot of his independent work kind of went this route, this direction. He also did another book. I've never read it, which was also an independent book. It was a bestseller called Asteroid Polyp, I think. Yeah, anyway, that's Mazzucchelli right there. That's kind of where he went from this. Pretty different. Frank Quitely is good at his art, even though it's often disturbing, Cranberry Lane just says. Disturbing? Really? Old Man Rocky has a ring to it. Old Man John, touche. What about your new club, Rocky? Kayla, yes, Kayla was the one who was asking about the tape. Figure Rocky was talking about taping down artwork while working on it, not how to pack comics. Even more exciting. It would actually be better if I was talking about how to tape down artwork. But no, alas, it's just about taping comic book bags and boards. That's me. John, you were late. There you go. No, I Did he move to novels? Harley. Yep. Yeah. He's like, whatever. I'm not drawing any more lines. I'm tired. That looked painful. What's with all these comic books? I thought this channel was going. Look at this awesome storytelling. I'm bringing it back here. Look at this awesome storytelling page. Daredevil. This is great. Oh, this is amazing. He uses this splatter technique to convey to the audience that it's foggy, like you can't see, like sight is limited here. And then Daredevil, he's blind, for those of you who don't know. But look at this. He's using this technique so you get this idea that like, oh, it's visually foggy, can't see. This guy is walking around nervous and Daredevil freaks him out and he just starts shooting in all sorts of directions, like frantically shooting. Great sequence of panels there. Boom, boom, boom. Daredevil punches him. More of this texture to show he's kind of coming out of the fog. That's the same texture here. That's great. Man, I love comics. Powerful. Yikes. Look at that. Yeah, Daredevil is really dark and gritty. And Mazzucchelli was a great artist for it. It definitely had that, like, the Spirit, had the influence of that in this. Will Eisner's The Spirit. Man, it's awesome. 1, 2, 3 colors. 4 colors, pretty much. We gotta get more comics like these back. Everything's so like highly rendered, colored. Man. Anyway, look at this. Oh, I love this. When I was flipping through this, I was sold. Look at this vulture. He definitely was using photo reference on this vulture. But his photo reference is not so stiff and like sometimes I feel like Alex Ross's stuff, which is amazing, but it's a little like stiff because it looks so referenced. But this is like, you can tell he's looking at a face, a human face, but just has so much life to it. Look at this sequence. Man, it's great. It was a great comic, this issue. Man. I love how he's drawing the vulture. And then there's this John Buscema story here, which is awesome. John Buscema being the artist extraordinaire at Marvel, who was also the artist on How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. Great. Yeah, this is definitely influenced by like the Spirit. This kind of lettering as part of the environment. Okay, so this was a sweet find. This is a Barry Windsor Smith cover right here, or back cover. Barry Windsor Smith, I did that artist study on his Weapon X Wolverine. Same guy. You can just tell immediately from the hatching that that's a Barry Windsor Smith. Okay, so that was sweet. Too much stuff. My gosh. These piles and piles of comics. I'm going to flip through this one really quick, only because Shelby Robertson, who has been in the chat before, American Discord, he does a video series called Art for Inspiration, and he did a whole flip through of this book, and he talked through it. It was great. But I found this one was actually hard for me to find. I have volume 1, 2 and 4. But volume 3 was always hard for me to find, and I found it at the store for cover price, which was amazing. But the Batman Black and White series were single floppy issues that came out early 2000s. This one was 2007, but this was volume 3. So I'm assuming like early 2000s. What they did was really smart. They basically got all these amazing artists to do their story, to do a Batman short story, and then they put them together in these individual comics, and then they compiled them all into these graphic novels. But it's basically like their version of Batman, but black and white. So it's great. Aaron Weisenfeld, I've talked about him on stream. Well, it's all connected. Everything's connected. Aaron Weisenfeld, he did that series Deathblow and Wolverine that I love. Then he kind of went off and became a phenomenal painter. He's a fine artist now, but it's kind of cool that they got him back to do a Batman story, and here he is doing it painted. Surprise, surprise. Really cool. But I'll just flip through this fast. And if you want to see a more in-depth review of this book, go check out Shelby's channel and do a search on Batman Black and White, because he did it on this particular book. Mike McMahon is a British artist. Awesome style, graphic style. Claudio Castellini, I believe he's Italian. Cool style, somewhat realistic. Who's this? Christian Alamy. Don't know this guy that much, but cool stuff. Just love seeing black and white renditions of this. This is like pure comics for me when I see it in black and white. This is oh my gosh, blank on his name. Dan DeCarlo, who is famous for Archie Comics. And it's so cool to see him do a Batman story, because Bruce Timm, who, I'm telling you, this is all connected. This is amazing. Bruce Timm, who was famous for being the creator, one of the creative forces and director on Batman the Animated Series, also did comics. He did this comic that I just showed you guys, Batman Mad Love. Highly influenced, super influenced by Dan DeCarlo. And if you look at the way that Bruce Timm draws his female characters, you can see where he gets it from if you look closely at Dan DeCarlo's stuff. So kind of cool to see that influence, like full circle, coming back and doing a Batman story. But yeah, Dan DeCarlo is famous for his Archie comics. Jason Pearson. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. This is the full circle. This is the full circle sale. Jason Pearson, we just looked at that X-Force that he did. Body Bags, Savage Dragon, Blood and Guts story. This is Jason Pearson. Did it more of like in a simplified animated style. This is kind of cool. Very little dialogue. Great action sequences. This is Darwin Cook, one of my faves. Also worked on Batman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond. A great comic book artist. He did a series called New Frontier, which I should review that on stream one day because it is amazing. But this is his Batman. So cool. Oh, Mike Wieringo. I haven't talked about Mike Wieringo. He passed away very, very early on. He was a Spider-Man artist. I think he worked on Fantastic Four too in the 2000s. Then he left, worked for Image, and wrote his own, or created his own story called Tellos. Tellos was a fantasy story, but then he passed away. But he was a great artist. Alan Davis. We've looked at Alan Davis's work. Amazing. He was an artist on a lot of DC stuff, Excalibur. So yeah, you can just see how it's just like a whole smattering of awesome artists doing their versions of Batman. And there's many, many volumes of this. I think I have 4 of them, but I'm pretty sure there's more than 4. This is Chris Bocciolo. This is Dennis Cohen. Yep. who did work on like The Question and some Milestone characters. He's an African-American artist. Dick Giordano, legend, classic. And then, wait, I'm going to skip forward here. There is, Daniel Ciccelli. Bill Ray, he's an animation artist. Worked on Ren and Stimpy and Samurai Jack. Great artist. Dexter's Lab. That's awesome. Scott Morris, this guy's a Pixar. He worked at Pixar for the longest time. Also a comic book artist. Steve Mannion. Oh, yeah, stuff's cool. It's got this kind of Bernie Wrightson feel to it. Sorry, I'm flipping through this fast. But I wanted to get to one that kind of adds to the full circle moment on this stream. Oh, Ryan Sook. That's awesome. Where is it? Nathan Fox. So it's kind of like a who's who of, here it is. Whilce Portacio, the artist and creator of Wetworks. He did a short story in here too. Really cool. Cool black and white work. Seeing Whilce's work in black and white is awesome. Look at that hair. It's the coolest hair. And I don't know that guy. So yeah, who's who. If you want to get like really cool black and white art, if you like Batman, these are great compilations to get. I have this statue. It's awesome. Can you imagine being tasked with drawing Mike Mignola's, or making a statue out of Mike Mignola's drawing? Crazy. Paul Pope, look! We just talked about Paul Pope. He was the one who I did the trailer at the beginning of this stream. Look at these Paul Pope Batman drawings. Amazing. He did a story called Batman 100. Wow, I'm just like spilling all the comic news here. Here's Jim Lee. Kelly Jones. I've talked about Kelly Jones before. Matt Wagner. Look at that. Really cool. I love these. And this cover is done by none other than the King, Frank Miller. My favorite. Great cover. All right. There we go. Batman Black and White Volume 3. Go watch Shelby's stream if you want to have a more in-depth take on this book, or review of this book. But it's awesome. It's really cool, and I'm glad I found it at this store. Woo! All right, I got one more to go through. And then, we gotta, we gotta talk about the, the poll, the results of the poll. Shoot. All right, let's see. So that guy's nose indicates he's a monster and not an alien class. Less lurking, making popcorn. Nice. McMahon's a cool name. Like McDonald's. Nice choice. Probably the most remembered Bruce Timm Batman comic. It is. Mad Love is amazing. Amazing. Why is that word familiar? What word? Shanthan Jetty Heart. What's up, Shant? Shant says... Shot says, ready to see this guy draw. Which guy? This guy? You better believe it. I'm ready. I'm ready to see this guy draw Spring Ball. Let's do it, Sean. I'm all for it. 100%. Let's do it. Mr. Monkey Boy 1969. What's up, Mr. Monkey Boy?
How do you say monkey in French?
just want to. Brian Stelfreeze. Woo! No, Brian Stelfreeze is not in that black and white. Sean knows Brian Stelfreeze, but no, he's not in that volume. He's in another one. He did another story, but not in that one. Sorry, getting the Circle of Doom. Oh no. Those are some great shadows. These all look great. Black and white artist renditions. Yes. Looks like a Mango comic. Mango. Frank Miller. Yes. This is Jim Lee. Yes. Tellos. Yes. Lindsay Rose. I have not talked about Tellos. I actually don't know that much about Mike Wieringo, but even though I'm running late, I'm telling you, I'm just all of this stuff, guys. This is like too much comics. This is, where is Mo Biggs? This is a super duper show because it's way too much comics. Here's Tellos. Mike Wieringo's art. I'll just flip through it really quick, but look at his art. It's fun, super clean. Rest in peace, this guy. Who's awesome. Great artist. But he did this fantasy series called Tellos. Kind of had this... He came after Joe Mad's Battle Chasers. So there was some similarities in that he for sure was influenced by anime like Joe Mad was, but in a different way. He was influenced by Arthur Adams for sure, but in a different way. So it's kind of cool. He was great. Great, solid stuff. But yeah, this is Tellos. Maybe one day we'll look at Mike Wieringo. Like I said, I don't know that much about him. But his work's awesome. Still waiting to be bribed, Mr. Monkey Boy 1960 says. Please vote A, Mark's Music Obsession. I don't know. I was looking at the poll, Mark, and it's not looking good for A. Cranberry Lander says, by the way, Rocky, I bought Hunter Killer on your right. Nice. Cool. Let me know how you like it. Mark Silvestri and Kenneth Roquefort, both. 1-2 punch on that book. Mo's picking tape. Elsewhere, number 3 is what Mark's Music Obsession wants. This show was a bit too super. I had to lay down for a bit. The Scotch tape debate took me over the line. I don't blame you, Mo Biggs. Okay, this is the last one, I promise. This is the last book that I will look at. But I didn't know they had this. At one point, DC did an Unwrapped series. They've done this on, I believe, Hush and some Justice League story that Jim Lee. They do this on a lot of Jim Lee books, actually. I think they did it on an Andy Kubert thing, maybe a Greg Capullo thing. But this is funny because as we were just talking about the work in progress format they did for All-Star Superman, this was another thing and then sometimes they call it Noir Edition. Well, this is called Unwrapped, which whatever, just black and white. But I guess Unwrapped is like the pencils because it's not just black and white ink, it's the pencils, which is awesome to see. And it's really awesome to see for Jim Lee because you can see how like tight his pencil work is. It's phenomenal. Great stuff. I've never read this Suicide Squad story, but it's kind of cool to have Jim Lee do Suicide Squad because then he gets to draw like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, throw them all in there because the Suicide crosses over with them. Look at this Man-Bat drawing. So cool. But yeah, seeing the penciled version of stuff is different than just seeing black and white inks. And some people's pencils are better than other, but Jim Lee is a tight penciler. Even with an inker like Scott Williams. Because I think Scott Williams was his inker on this. I don't even know if they list it. Yeah, they don't list it. This little inset is by Sean Galloway. He's like a comic artist, but also works in animation. I've worked with Sean before. Great guy, super, super nice guy, and great style. It's fun to see this little insert here. Wow, look at this. This is cool Jim Lee stuff, man. What year was this? I always like to look at the year because it kind of just gives me... So, 2018. That's 7 years ago. Jim Lee's still drawing this good. If you look at his like Hush 2 stuff, it's still this good. But there's just an energy in his work. Like it's tight, but it's like it's got a lot of energy, electricity in it. Beautiful, beautiful face. Dang. Yeah, I love Jim Lee I love him more on like team books like this versus solo books like Superman or even Batman. But I love it when he's drawing like teams because he's just built for that. I think it was all his time on X-Men and Wildcats. Scotch tape discussion was a sticking point. Lauren saw your office the other day and started cracking up. How are you guys friends? God bless that woman. She gets me. She understands. I could say the same thing. How are you guys married? This is awesome. Yeah, this is Scott Williams inks on Jim Lee. So this is, familiar sight, but to see his stuff in pencils I couldn't pass this up. Oh, they included an ink page here. Really cool. Incredibly skilled Jim Lee is. Man. He's got some great faces in here. Just appeal out the wazoo on these faces. It's kind of cool to see like it next to the inks too. The inks are great. Scott Williams, man. Ay, ay, ay. These guys are so good. Love this rendering on Amanda Waller's face. I know there was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. They called it a pencil and ink version of a couple issues of Hush, I think. And when it was large sized, it's selling for like hundreds of dollars on eBay. But on one side is like the pencils, and you flip it over and it's the inks. That would be really cool of like Jim Lee stuff. But this is just as good. That's cool. Yeah, it's really neat to see it next to each other. Man, I love comic art. You guys, I really do. I don't know if you get that from this stream. Aside that I'm old and I like tape. I love to like discuss tape. I love comic art so much. It's just so incredible. Wow, look at that. This is great. You can look up, you can buy some of these on Amazon, these unwrapped versions I've seen. I don't know. Some of them are easier to get than others. Wow, that's awesome. I love these like slightly up shots he does on the faces. That's just Jim Lee showing off because everybody was aping Jim Lee's like standard girl faces at a certain point after he like made it huge on X-Men and then Wildcats. Everybody was copying Jim Lee and how he drew faces, and this is him just showing off. He's like, yeah, I can rotate it up a little bit more. I know anatomy. I can do stylized anatomy. Yeah, I love seeing these interspersed inked pages in here. It's kind of cool. Just gives you more of an appreciation of the pencil art. It's great. unused pencils. Some of the script. Boom. Beautiful. Cool. This is awesome. Unwrapped. Suicide Squad by Jim Lee. Unwrapped. Okay. Super chat. What are you going to give Mr. Monkey Boy super chat? Oh, if Mr. Monkey Boy votes. Wow. Are there some deals being made here? We're going to look at that right now. My choice always loses save one instance, Linz. Aw. I vote the Lady Rider page, Lindsay Rose says. Please pin the poll. What poll? Oh, the poll. Oh, okay. All right, I'll do that. As we wrap up here, I will do that. Oh, wait. Is that right? Oh, yeah, it says 22 hours ago. So we're almost ready to wrap this baby up. There's the poll, Mr. Monkey Boy 1969. I just pinned it to the top. If anybody has not voted and you're watching right now, go vote for what's the next page that I will be doing a master study on. Right now, page from issue 17 of Elsewhen, John Byrne's Elsewhen, is winning 45% of the vote. 20 votes. Wow, that's a lot of votes. I think that's the most votes I've gotten for a master study. How many burner accounts did you start, Mark? Elsewhen number 3, Mark's Music Sessions favorite page, is in second place with 30% of the votes. Elsewhen number 13, I think we can safely say it's out of the running for 25% of the votes, but who knows what might happen in the last couple hours. But looks like 17 is on the win, just to this is the one that Mark loves, is voting for. That's issue number 3. This is the one that's winning right now, which has Shadowcat and Wolverine in there. Some awesome stuff in there. Oh, and I did do a test print at Kinko's of the taking the John Byrne pencils and making them blue line and printing them out, and it looks like it's going to work. So I don't think I'm going to do a pencil phase to this. I think I'm just going to hit it straight with inks, going straight over John Byrne's pencils as blue lines. So that'll be cool. And I'm pretty convinced that I'm going to try pen nib on this first page at least to see how it goes. At the beginning of my stream, I said, as I was prepping for the stream, I was watching Declan Shalvey ink, and he was using pen nib, dip pen as well. And it just made me go, okay, cool. I think I should do that for this John Byrne page. So that is the one. So we are, I think it's, I think it is, when did we start? We're close to 24 hours. So I'll be closing this poll soon. I'll probably wrap up here, do a couple things, and then close out this poll. And I will post later tonight which one is the winner. But if you haven't voted, vote now. 20 votes. There's a little time left. How are we married? I have game for... Mr. Monkey Boy 1969 says, okay, I think I voted. Mr. Monkey Boy 1969 is heading home. See you later, dude. This dude is pure when it comes to his love for comics. Truly, good dude. Thank you, Shanthan Chetty Art. It's really nerdy, but I love it so much. From talking with those guys outside of the store that wasn't open yet and voicing, we weren't really frustrated, but just kind of voicing our frustration and talking about what books we were excited for and why we were there so early at the store was a great way to start the day. Getting into the store and picking up that those issues of Planet Death and then the work in progress of All-Star Superman, amazing. And just getting to look through it with you guys was amazing. Bringing up the books that I picked up this weekend on July 4th weekend at that store, Escapist Comics, so fun. looking at the Image. Wow, this was a lot. Looking at reminiscing Image comics and just the excitement level of Image comics out of Pitt and Wetworks was nostalgic, like level 10. Love it, love it. And then all the little side conversations of Mazzucchelli and Micro Wingo and Daredevil and Paul Pope, all that stuff. Man, comics are so fun. It's just a fun medium. And it's such an elevated art form when you are telling stories and connecting with people as you're telling stories. And then yet it can be so like dumb and just pure entertainment. Like it just runs the full gamut. And I think that's why I love it so much and why I want to pursue it and do more of it and do master studies and work on my own book and do a spring ball side story, like all of the above. I think that's why. So comics are fun. Comics are really fun. If you guys didn't get that, I enjoyed it so much. Cranberry Langer says, Jim Lee is amazing. Yeah, we all know, right? Jim Lee is one of those guys that's like, okay, Jim Lee, we know you're like valedictorian, you're super smart, you're going to be a doctor. Oh, okay. You're probably like a great point guard on the basketball court, and you can probably like, it's like one of those guys that just succeeds at everything. Stupid Jim Lee. But he's a great artist. Man, I love his art. I'm considering starting a channel of Rocky stream highlights called Unwrapped. But would there be any material? Because I don't unyap. That's the opposite of me. Bribing for votes. Woo woo. The yappening. Hearsay. Mo. Lindsay Rose says. Vote number 3, Shant. Mark's music obsession. Pleading his case. The man who talks to goats. I didn't see that movie. That was a Coen Brothers movie, right? The Man Who Talks to Goats, I think starring George Clooney. I haven't watched that movie. Haunted Cosmos. What are we talking about now? Yappers Wild. They brought goats up again. Jumped over to get in my first on Bancroft's channel for Art Share. Oh, is he starting that up? All right, guys. Well, I'm wrapping up here. Let me just reset here. Where are we at? The poll is the same. So I'll probably keep it open. Like I said, I'll wrap up here, do things, then check it. Poll stays the same. Looks like Elsewhen number 17 is winning. I will let you guys know in my community post and on social media. If you don't follow me on X, my handle is... What is my handle on X? I think it's the same thing. Oh, it's... Rocky Inc. ROQEINC on X if you follow me. I post all sorts of comic stuff there on too. But I'll definitely post it on the community post or the post, whatever they call it here. Post on YouTube, and let you guys know what is the winner of the master study for next, which is going to be a John Byrne master study. Very exciting. We're going to channel our inner Terry Austin into that one. That'll be fun. And I hope you guys all join me for that. Thank you so much for today's super yapped up stream. Man, that was a lot of comics, a lot more than I thought, but all awesome stuff. Now my pile has grown and I'm behind again on catching up just when I thought I caught up. But thank you guys all for joining. It's been amazing. It's been awesome. And I will be in touch soon to let you know when the next stream is, which is probably going to be the first master study. So, Timmy Mello, that truer words have not been spoken. Still got to get that Discord Super Comic Club eventually. It's happening, dude. We're working on it. And so it is happening. Stay tuned for that. Yeah, for sure. I'm going to kind of embrace the Discord and see what happens. Thank you guys so much. Hit that like, subscribe, comment, share it along. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great, great Wednesday. Had so much fun hanging out with you. And I hope you've gotten some comic love from this stream. All right? Take care. Love you guys. See you later.